Hello everybody and welcome. If you guys have never seen me before, I am Rodgon. I am your new favorite art teacher. Today, we have about 15 minutes to be able to explain and improve your artwork. So how about we get started with it really quickly so that we may not miss out on the chance to be able to be better artists by the end of this 15 minutes. So today, we are going to be talking about the power of foundations. Power of your foundational skills. You hear this all the time, right? You hear people tell you, learn your foundations, there are foundations. And a lot of the times they tell you that it's gonna be perspective, anatomy, and things like contrast and focal points and stuff like that. So for the most part, they're not wrong. But a lot of the times we don't really know how to approach these fundamentals in a way that makes sense or we even use in our applicated art. So when we are sitting down to draw something, how do we apply all these things? I'm gonna go and show you the process in which I normally teach every single new student that I have. And this is gonna help both beginner and advanced people be able to maybe see things a little bit different. So let's say that we're starting off with no one knowing how to draw anything at all, and I have about 12 minutes to be able to explain this to people. So if you can manage to learn how to draw a circle, that is going to be step one. Step one is understanding how to draw shapes like circles, triangles, boxes, and ovals. Variations of those shapes is going to be a very necessary consistent factor. So this is step number one if you want to learn how to draw. Learn how to draw basic shapes. Number two is how to add depth to these shapes. Because if you keep on drawing circles, you're always gonna have nice flat art. But if you learn how to draw depth, you can start learning how to draw things in different views, different angles. And the way that we learn how to do that is by learning how to duplicate most of these shapes inside of each other or next to each other. If we want to do that, we just take, for example, a circle, and we're gonna draw another circle inside. That circle inside is going to provide you a couple different things. With a circle, this is gonna give you a guideline, right? So you can use that for drawing things on specific parts. If you need it this way, if you need it this way, you can use those as guidelines, and they're ambiguous, so it can be either one. It also gonna give you a guideline that's gonna give you the front and the back of your shape. So that's gonna be something that you can learn to do really easy. So when you need to rotate or you need to find something like the ears on both sides of the character or the arms, stuff like that, this is what teaches you how to do that. If you're gonna go into things like, I don't know, volume and extremities, learning how to draw cylinders by connecting two shapes to each other is going to be a very basic, consistent thing. So learning how to do that with these basic shapes is going to allow you to be able to create those things. Now, changing the size of these is going to give you something called foreshortening. If you change the size of them, you can make things look bigger or closer to you by drawing them bigger, or if you want to make them go smaller, you make them smaller. And it's going to look visually like the thing is going into the distance or coming towards you. If you overlap them even more, you get this cool, awesome concept called foreshortening, where it means that something is getting covered and it's getting an extreme angle. Something like this would be useful for things like fingers and legs and stuff like that that come towards you much more than when they come away from you. Right? Understanding how to change the sizes of them and getting different results is going to be a consistent thing within character design, animation, and even just illustration in general. So drawing is going to be consistently a bunch of basic shapes drawn over and created into 3D dimensional shapes. So, okay, now we have that. So we're gonna do the same thing with boxes. With boxes, you just duplicate the box and you connect the edges. With triangles, you can just duplicate the triangle, connecting the points, and you have access to a pyramid. Most of the shapes that we're gonna be using are just gonna be circles or boxes. But in general, I like to stay with circles more, mostly because it gives you a more soft look to the designs. Now let's go and let's jump onto something that's gonna be really useful for most people. So how do we take this and we start drawing things like little characters? Well, I like to use what I call the bunny ear approach. If you're able to draw a circle and give it a midline by drawing a circle inside, by using concept number 2, you have yourself a sphere. Now from this, I'm gonna teach you the concept of flow by drawing 2 bunny ears going down, 2 bunny ears going up. Okay, by doing that, I have now created a very simple concept of a person or a character lifting their arms. Yay! Okay, understanding your extremities for your characters is going to be no different, no harder than just taking this circle, and when you extend the leg, just go outside, inside. Okay, you're gonna go outside volume, outside edge, inside volume. And you're gonna give yourself access to being able to draw legs in slightly different positions by just following the outside edge, inside volume. Outside edge, inside volume. So how is this useful? Well, this is gonna be useful when you're trying to draw simple characters. If you're trying to draw simple characters and you don't know how the arms and the legs go, it's gonna be outside edge, inside volume. Later on, when you get more advanced and you want to draw longer legs, longer volume, it's gonna be the same concept. It's gonna be outside edge, inside volume. And when you start adding muscles and stuff like that, you just add it on top of that structure that you already have. And that's what's gonna allow you later on to be able to add all your detail to these very basic structures. And this is how you learn through foundational skills. Because it's much easier to be able to move a circle and give it all those little features learn how the movement of the arms work, how they overlap, and you're gonna have the ability to be able to draw really cool scenes like people defending from like superpowers. Camera's moving, hold on. Oh, it's because this is touching. We're losing time. Okay. All right, so now that we understand that a very basic circle can give you extremities, how do we improve this to make it actually look like an actual character, right? Or how do we even rotate this? Well, once we have this, we're gonna come up with something called rotation points, pivot points. And for things like arms and legs, it happens to be around this same circle, just touching where it connects to the body. These little circles right here are gonna end up making your character look, because it doesn't matter which direction the arm is pointing, it's gonna make it look like a little Ninja Turtle, okay? So if you take those little circles right here, and you make one bigger, and you might make another one thinner, by making it thicker, you're making this leg come forward, and you're making this leg go back. So by doing that in different directions, you can eventually overtake the entirety of the other leg when it comes down to a profile shot. So that is how you rotate these simple characters. And then when that translates later on to a more design-friendly thing that you want to do, you're gonna be doing the same thing. Only you're not gonna be bogged down by where that actual structure is supposed to come from. And you'll be able to draw more complicated shapes by simply adding segments or just extending those segments to be able to give yourself more depth. Now, obviously our bodies aren't just little circles, right? They have more depth to them. So once you understand this point, the next step is just duplicating this. So keeping one for the legs, and then adding a separate one for the arms. Adding a head in between is as easy as taking whatever general shape you have from those two circles and dividing it into 3. By doing that, you give yourself access to this and your collarbone relatively easy. So that is going to be a little bit more complex, and when you are ready, you can do that. Also, by taking these and changing the midline for each one of those, you can add twists and turns to your body, okay? It's a lot easier than you might think. And all this is accessible to anybody that has never drawn before. So within 20 minutes, 15 minutes of actually sitting down and just practicing very basic foundations like your basic shapes, your guidelines by duplicating them, little perspective exercises like connecting the dots, right? And learning to look through your shape is gonna help you understand later on how to do more complicated things, like drawing your rib cage and your hip bones, and then just connecting dots to cylinders like you have on the previous exercises. And you're not gonna be bogged down, okay? You can always go back to your other way of doing it if you need the two circles, right? That is also a way that you can just regress back to it, but little by little, you're gonna end up removing some of those guides. And some of those guides are very easily removable because they're simple shapes themselves. So, hopefully, by using my SAM system, which is what this is called, I call it the SAM system, Simple Anatomy Mannequin. And you guys can learn all about this stuff and see me and watch me and draw with me every single day that you guys can go on stream. I go on stream and I teach free lessons for everybody every single day. And with that being said, we are a little bit short on time, so I'm just gonna draw some examples of these, right? Two shapes, two circles, outside edge, inside volume. You always wanna go for the side that has the most clear outside edge into any overlapping shapes that you might see inside. A lot of the times they'll clash with the booty when you're drawing them from behind. So you draw, there's gonna be times where either one of them can be the outside edge, but always look for the side that doesn't have any compression points. Okay, and it's gonna help you be able to map out your drawings and be able to draw poses a lot easier. And you can stop just overthinking the general concept of the anatomy being so hard. The last tip that I'm gonna give you is that most of your features, like for your body, are gonna be in the front of your spine. So if you have your spine, and this is just, I know your spine is curved, right? Your spine has a little curve, but to simplify things, we're gonna keep it a nice straight line. We have about 2 minutes. So understand that your spine is the back of your body. If you draw your rib cage, all the volume is gonna go in front of it. Your head, all the volume is gonna go in front of it. And your hip bones, most of the volume is gonna go in front of it. So as you learn how to draw these things, right? Understand that most of the things are gonna pivot from the rib cage area. And understanding, not the rib cage, the spine area. And understanding, comprehending that is going to be one of the catalysts that help you be able to get beyond those points where you have been stuck before. Little tiny understandings of basic shapes can help you and guide you into getting the results that you want. Sorry guys, we're out of time. So, stop. We're out of time. Thank you so much for keeping me company and letting me be your teacher for the last 15 minutes. I hope that within that time, you guys were able to actually observe something that can help you in your careers for storyboarding, animation designs, or any sort of illustration like comics, features, and visual development and all that stuff. So these are just the foundationals. This is the power of foundational skills in the shape of just drawing your basic shapes and turning them in 3D. With that, you can create an amazing amount of characters, designs, and everything that you can ever imagine. Your brain will be essentially just craving new inspiration points so that you may be able to put those into effect with the knowledge that you have. So learn your foundations, don't be afraid of them, have fun with them, and repeat them all the time, over and over and over. And I hope that you guys have a fantastic rest of your con. Have a good one.